I just can't get enough of elves that look like fairies for some reason, and their unicorn overlords. Seasons 1 and 2 were fun. They were really solid shows. Heck, they were really solid shows if you grew up watching them. But it leaves a lot to be desired if you're trying to get your friends into it now. But new seasons breed new possibilities. And if you were hoping Mia and Me blows you out of the water for seasons 3, 4, and the movie, I hope you're ready to be disappointed. As you might have first noticed, that is not the same Mia that we're familiar with. What used to be Rosabella Sellers is now Margot, I have no idea how to pronounce the last name, Nuccitelli. And no shade to the original actress, but I prefer the performance of Margot just a little better, which may be an unpopular opinion since any change is always deemed absolute evil, and liking that change is absolute heresy. Ironically, when it comes to the voice acting, I prefer the previous actress compared to this one. I don't understand how it can feel so different. I mean, acting is acting. This should be no problem. So both have pros and cons. Actually, I think all their voices are different, and I have no idea why. When I said I was hoping for a few surprises, that is not what I meant.
It's gotta be about the new baby, right?
What power? To save or destroy us?
Think her baby's starting to kick.
Right.
Yeah, actually, the vocal performances are all pretty flat for all of them. Okay, I may have an idea. I mentioned this in part 1 of the deep dive, but I'll cover it again. Basically, the company that created Mia and Me went through a buyout. The ownership of Mia and Me is now in the hands of another company. Before, it was co-produced by the same company that made Winx. Like from Winx Club, Rainbow, that was the company. But now it's produced by Made for Entertainment. And if there's a new company that owns it, that means there needs to be new contracts. Now, I'm not familiar with the laws of video production in either Berlin or Italy or who technically is, or Germany, or who technically is the one that is who you'd sign a contract with under the rules of that country. I don't know the behind the scenes of that stuff. That's not privy open information for us. But if I had to guess, it probably falls in line with the same reason they do this with every time they do it. It was cheaper to hire new actors. Probably why. You hear that thing where Disney will like reboot a show with the same name but slightly different after 3 years because after 3 years the actors deserve more pay, and so they just make the new show but not. Like the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody became The Sweet Life on Deck after like 3 seasons because they didn't want to pay them more. That's why. Just in case you didn't know, that's why. Disney just didn't want to pay them more. I get the feeling it may fall in line with something like that. Though, I guess the rules were different and they just got entirely new people. I would have a different theory if like some people were different and some people were new, but everyone is new. Every character is voiced by someone different. When the company changes, all your previous contracts go up in smoke unless that company decides to uphold them, which would explain, and I mentioned this in my last video of part 1, it explains why they made such a great change, such a great character arc with Violetta, and then just threw her away. They knew she was not going to be in seasons 3 and 4 because her contract was ending.
The birth grotto!
Holy crap, Lyria! I don't know when 420 is in Centopia, but you look like all the time is 420 for you. Lyria and Ono went to Fantasy Pound Town, and now Anqiao has a sister. I just hope her name isn't as stupid as his.
She says her name is Kiara.
Yeah, way better name. Then again, anything would have been better. Anqiao sounds like someone sneezed.
It's been a nerve-wracking day for all of us.
Dang, Anqiao, you been hitting the gym? You got some serious gains there, bro.
We can't pull it, so let's try to loosen it. 1, 2, 3.
You guys are doing literally the exact opposite of what you want. How did these idiots save the unicorns?
See? Change is good.
Unless you change the entire voice cast. Floating Headman and Gorgana are still here. I guess we aren't getting a new villain for this season. I was really excited to see what was next. I'm getting sick of the real big bad guy just sitting around shouting orders. Why does this floating head guy want a golden unicorn horn anyway? They never explained why he wants it. It's just, I am the evil bad guy so that the plot can have an evil bad guy. Oh, never mind. They sent the tick. I guess floating head guy, who we now know is named Dracon, sent them from the dystopia. Dax, the tick man, is apparently invulnerable to the Trumptus. Oh, and water. You know, how are dark elves so powerful when the insect people are clearly more powerful? Like, it doesn't quite make sense. Thankfully, Anqiao growing up also means he's grown new powers, so I guess it's evened out, but that sort of makes it not as engaging. I was hoping they were going to really have a power imbalance and make everything seem desperate. Everything seems so simple now. Where are the stakes? I guess the Trumptus being destroyed makes things a little more interesting, especially since Fuddle is too stupid to make a new one.
A container, will you?
My queen!
She's looking at them like, I can't believe I have to work with these people. This isn't just any poison, it's advanced poison. And by that I mean unicorn tears do jack squat. Another tool in their arsenal now completely useless. I'm all for this. We can make a power imbalance by weakening certain aspects of the heroes. I like this. Oh, also, Mo is king now while his parents are comatose. Don't worry, they invent yet another new concoction that can be used to defend them. First it was water, then it was fantasy sriracha, and now it's Ivan Ooze's mucus. Apparently the king left Mo well, we don't know what it is really, some sort of fancy doohickey that I'm sure will be magical somehow. Oh look! Dark elf plants freak the flip out. Now we have another MacGuffin for the show, but at least there's a lot of unknowns that they have to figure out themselves. You wanna know what happened to Mia's grandfather and the farm? Well, screw you, we're hanging out with a blind kid we just met, and we're having sleepovers!
It was a present from my parents. They died when I was 12.
And we finally have an answer as to what happened to her parents. I swear, even if the cast is a little bad, at least the writers decided they'd get their act together. We finally get lore, and long last. Apparently there was 2 Genesis unicorns, one left to go check out Greater Horizons and never came back, so the other one cried and made tear crystals, and that's what that crystal is that the king left Mo. Once they get all of them, they create the Heart of Centopia. Basically, they get cool unicorn god powers of love. Dang, this show loves MacGuffins. But hey, lore is lore, and so I'm happy, I'm not complaining.
Mia, you don't feel that you need to hide things from me, do you?
Oh, don't worry. Given Mia's track record, she's going to tell you about how magic is real maybe 2/3 through the season. Not entirely sure how she's going to show you, though. I mean, no offense. I wonder if Mia still has Violetta's necklace. Mia's bracelet gem doesn't look broken anymore, so what happened? Apparently Yuko has a sister, so that's a thing. I'm sure she'll be a reoccurring character that will make a massive change to the plot later this season.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Fabio.
Hi, Fabio.
This is the 3rd supposed love interest for Mia that never pans out. Nothing will replace Vincent. Retribution for Vincent. Retribution! Okay, new headcanon. All the pink unicorns are stoners.
But a small crystal?
A place that promises pleasure.
Wherever it is, sounds fun.
Once again, the live action parts are just okay. But you do get moments like this where Sarah does the worst, oops, I fell, and you have the ultra dramatic slow motion running toward her for help, as if she just broke her leg. Like, oh my god, sometimes this is great to watch for the stupidest reasons.
It's like you shut me out of your life since the accident. Why don't you want to see me anymore?
Because I can't, Fabio.
I'm by no means knowledgeable on the struggle of someone who had recently become blind, but I'm having a hard time swallowing this. Like, in essence, she's upset that her friend still wants to be her friend. If I'm gonna be frank, the setup for these shows is sometimes incredibly boring. You have several episodes of them just doing some random, unimportant thing in order to get the MacGuffin. And maybe only half the episodes, maybe less, are actually relevant to the overarching story. So you end up watching multiple dud episodes that are made only to fill up a slot for a week. And I don't expect every episode to be equal, but there's absolutely shows that do this better than Mia and Me. If it doesn't expand the overarching story, they'll expand on the characters or the lore or the world, but this show doesn't do that. Is the show fun? Sure. Does the show hold up to the other alternatives? No. Even prior to the shift to streaming services, there were still shows that do this weekly setup better. As much as I don't want to bash on this show because it does what it wants to do well, it's still hard to ignore the fact that I would recommend other shows prior to recommending this one. It's exacerbated when you have a crummy live-action B-plot, especially when the live-action portion takes up even more of the time slot of this show now for this season, no doubt because it's cheaper and faster than animation, but gosh, it's just so blasé. It's in a forest or a farm because those are cheap and easy locations. Nothing big or important happens unless it's near the end of the season. Another superpowered unicorn, the Sun Unicorn, that has the power to blast away the bad dark elf vines. I'm sure this will be important later. You can definitely tell that the show is really trying to take things into a new direction because it actually tackles the concept of death with the unicorns and the feeling of loss for kids losing their grandparents. I mean, her grandma was just introduced this episode, so it can only pack so much of a punch, but still, this feels like the show is trying to tackle concepts that they were too afraid to do in the past. We get less than halfway through the season and Mia already tells Sarah that her book is magic, but Sarah doesn't believe her. God, this girl cannot keep a secret.
I have friends there. They're elves. Bless you.
That's what I'm saying! He sounds like a sneeze! All that disempowering at the beginning really falls flat throughout the show. Gorgana is still useless, the tick-looking guy Dax is so haughty and self-confident that he's easy to fool, and the new sticky shot they have is like the ultimate weapon that's good for both Dax and Gorgana. So, they really don't have an upward battle, making everything that would have been interesting about this season non-existent. Even the big struggle of Mo learning to be king is still put to the side as they continue to do their same old hunting of MacGuffins. It was a lot of promises, only for none of it to be delivered. Also, Kiara, Anchao's sister, she's not relevant to the plot at all. Anchao as was the epicenter of everything. They just introduced Kiara and gave Anchao new powers, and they aren't even present in most episodes. And when they are, they don't do anything important. What happened? I'm trying to praise the new direction of the show, but oh my goodness, everything that was once interesting has been put aside. Even if they didn't flesh out any of the obvious questions, they were still delivering on an engaging premise, even if it was rudimentary. Season 3 is just tossing most of that to the side. Also, they bring Emo Boy back. Tell me in the comments below, but they always make Sarah always seem helpless and always in need of help constantly, and I can understand it if she's recently blind and still figuring things out, which I'm almost certain is what's supposed to be going on. She's petrified of continuing her life because she doesn't want to, try, which I get there's gotta be a big life change and adaptation, but with how much support she has around her, I would have thought she'd have progressed a lot more by now, especially since she really doesn't seem all that helpless. She sometimes leads Mia to new places around the farm, so I'm just conflicted about whether or not her character is good, bad, or maybe neither. Now, my exposure to blind people is basically next to none, so if anyone has more insight on this, then please let me know, because I am fully admitting I am ignorant. Having a character with a disability can be hard to write because you can easily make them into a constantly helpless little baby that's pathetic and needy, when in reality, they're usually just people that have something different about them that may need an extra accommodation. Too many shows write them where able-bodied people look down on them in some way and don't really treat them as equals, at least not fully. That's why everyone loves Toph from Avatar. She's equal to everyone else, just different. Mia gets captured, and even her friends aren't able to save her. So gosh, I wonder if there's someone else that could make a special appearance. She gets Mia's bracelet? Oh, are we making her a Mainstain character? Sarah gets to go to Syntopia, and oh my gosh, she can see again. Sight restored. Oh god, I wonder if we're going to have another situation where the newbie never wants to go back home. I mean, I wouldn't blame them, but I'm just saying. And she gets rescued. Sarah is part of the team, I guess. Gotta admit, the way they introduced Violetta was way more interesting. Sarah is now just there. There's not any personal motivator for her. She's really good at operating with no vision, like a completely dark cave, so I mean, that's clever for one episode. Other than that, there's nothing going on with her. Her character is flat and continues to be flat, but now in a different setting. They got all those pieces and they float around. That's it so far. Gotta figure out why now. We gotta do a whole Millennium Puzzle thing putting it together.
This is our last weekend. Then I have to go back to school.
So they're going back to school? Are we going to see Vincent again, or is is he just poofed out of existence. Anqiao gets whipped with Dark Elf Sleepy Time thorns in an effort that I wonder why the bad guys never tried this before now, and his horn is gone. Now I guess we'll find out what the heck Dracon wants with it. Basically, all their attempts at putting the crystals together failed, but Sarah, having the power to see without her eyes, is able to interpret the puzzle a different way, and thanks to her, they have it all completed. And then Kiara absorbs it and gains more magical chocolate sauce powers, giving her the ability to fend off the big scary plants and wake everyone up. Wow, Kiara is finally relevant to the plot. The bad guys win! Oh no, they don't, and for some reason unicorn horns are incredibly fragile. How convenient. Kiara uses the pretty pink glitter powers to defeat Dracon's ooze. Now we can start healing up literally everything in a magic cure-all, just like last season. Everything is pretty and colorful again. Yay! Anqiao gets his horn back. Oh yeah, most parents, I forgot about them. That was terrible. I was genuinely bored throughout that entire season. Even if the ending was generally the same as the last season, which, you know, you would argue is also bad. Funny enough, could compare that to Slugterra again. I don't know why I keep finding comparisons between this show and Slugterra. At least season 2 had like multiple steps for their quest to pretend like there was more stuff going on. You know what? No, there was more stuff going on. We learned about the Unicorn King. That was a big thing. We didn't learn like anything about this season whatsoever except that bug people exist. That's the new thing. Wow. And they even broke their own rules, which they do all the time. You need either the bracelet or a piece of the gem in that bracelet to travel to Santopia. I guess not for Sarah. Santopia can just say, we want you. You're enlisted to join Santopia. Come on down. Now you can just hold hands and you're there. That didn't work for Vincent. Remember Vincent? Didn't work for him. What's even the point of making rules if you're just gonna break them? At the beginning of 2022, Mia and Me got a theatrical movie release. Can't wait to see how they screw this one up. Here's what I think is my biggest upset with Mia and Me. It has all the foundations for the whole unicorns and glitter fantasy, but it's really just a foundation. There's nothing they really do with it. It's barely even a fantasy. It's like how adding aliens and lasers doesn't necessarily make a story science fiction. Mia and Me has those elements, but there's nothing bigger going on. It's like designed to be a brain-dead show to fill in a time slot edging toward making a grander narrative, or at least any narrative beyond bad guy is bad and must be stopped, but never actually delivers. It feels like it's a show made by children for children. I wouldn't usually say that shows need to appeal to both adults and children, but that's not really a good understanding of it. It needs to be appealing. If you make a story, even a simple one, it will be appealing regardless of age. But Mia and Me, at least with season 3, I'm really just upset with season 3, and this is more criticizing season 3 and not really criticizing all of Mia and Me. Mia and Me decided just to have the elements that create the glitter and unicorns fantasy and did the same story template that can work with literally any show ever. It doesn't utilize the elements of its world or its genre, which is really why season 3 makes me incredibly upset. Anyway, I'm glad to see Mia's grandpa is back. I thought he was gone forever. We finally get to see Mia's parents, even if it's only a flashback, which already gives me some hope with this movie. Something that they really haven't been expanding is Mia's parents. They just allude to them being gone and leave it at that. Now maybe they'll do something with her character.
You know, I remember a time when you enjoyed things other than that book.
Dang, really hitting hard, my dude. Great way to talk about how she's getting sucked into her elf fantasy and ignoring her other life with her real family, almost like she's falling into the same trap of never wanting to leave the fantasy like Violetta. And Grandpa walks in on her going to Santopia. Oh, finally. We're changing it up from her just showing someone. I'm already happy with this. 2 big things checked off my list. So anyway, she runs into this Mohawk guy where both of them are having a rocky introduction. This is Iko from Lotus Island, an island that's never been talked about until right now. I think it's been funny how they talk about there being other lands with other elves, but literally never expanding or visiting them until literally right now. It's like they told the writers, you know all those interesting plot points you set up? Yeah, don't use them so we can use them for the movie. So Toadface can turn other people into Toadfaces. There's a legend of an old hero of Syntopia that kicked his butt a long time ago. Okay, how much you wanna bet the old hero of Syntopia was Mia's mom? I mean, how convenient. They now show Mia's mom only to then show the ye old hero of Syntopia. There's 3 gemstones, one being the one on Mia's bracelet, the second is in the hands of Toxor, the third is with some random unicorn that we've never seen before. Another thing that would have been incredibly obvious, but we're only deciding to do now, is Mia having her gem stolen by the bad guys. I'm surprised no one else thought of this until the big muscle crab. So the Storm Unicorn has the other gemstone, and he has it because he just likes collecting things. Also, he has wings, and he can talk?
You can speak elf?
Of course I can, you silly thing! I've been banished! I reigned on a parade!
Are we really committing a solid chunk of the movie to a self-conscious, overly emotional demigod? Also, for literally no real reason, they give him a therapy session where when he cries, he shrinks. Now he's a pony. And they just recruit him because they feel sorry for him, and they get his gemstone in the process. So, you know, it's a win-win. He summons a rainbow bridge? This dude is just Unicorn Thor. The writers realized Iko was pretty useless and uninteresting, so they turned him into a bad guy minion. Now the Toadface has all the gemstones. Yuko and Mo save Mia. Frankly, Toadface is smart. He just chucks the stones into magical fear water so that he can't be defeated. I like it when villains do the bare minimum thinking. You want to have some epic villain backstory? The reason why Toxor became a bad guy, he was jealous that elves can fly. That's it, that's all, that's his whole motivation. I'm kind of hoping this is a red herring and Toxor will be like, the Lotus Queen lied, your mother betrayed me, well, big plot twist.
She has a bracelet.
It's the same bracelet, Mia.
The hero was my mother.
Called it. Wait, so was her mom an elf that went to the human world or vice versa? Wait, okay, hang on. Iko had next to no motivation other than, I need to save my people. Now we have the Storm Unicorn, who lost the gem, and now he's also not an interesting character. Now he doesn't even have the fact of, I have the gem to keep him relevant to the story. Every new character they introduce, they just get tossed aside. Every time. Even in their theatrical release. It would be better if they just made the gemstones hidden in some tomb that the team just had to go in and do some like Indiana Jones-ing in order to get it. At least that way it wouldn't be insulting. Yuko gets transformed, so now we know for certain they're going to undo all of this. No, please remember who you were. Look deep inside you. Reuse overplayed tropes because they're easy and invalidate the power of the bad guy a little bit. We don't want to think when writing, so we're just going to lean on tropes to do the work for us. Then we have a weird segment where Mia goes through the pool of fear and talks to a voice that's just telling her she sucks, and that's it.
Grandpa's waiting for me to come home. No, he's not.
No, you're alone. Stop it. Oh my God. In the least climactic way, she got the stones back, and then she starts drowning, but you know, Iko is there, so I guess he's not useless. You know, strong will and stuff, I guess. I'm sure there's an important meaning behind this. Oh, look, Thornicorn is back to be a convenient ride back to home base.
The Oracle, the new friend. You and I need to be friends.
What? So Toxor is also super duper wonwy, and so Mia says, hey, how about you stop being a jerk and we can be friends? And then all the corruption gets reversed. Like, we knew it would, and that's it? This is your ending? I would have preferred the dramatic falling down a hole and just Then Prasangi's dead. Oh, I'm so done. I know there's a season 4 of Me and Me, but I just can't. I can't do this anymore. I watched a lot of My Little Pony where all the villains became friends and they did it better than this. Oh my gosh. Maybe season 4 of Mia and Me improves in every way, but I can't do this anymore. I don't like Mia and Me beyond the first 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons were fine. The thing is, it doesn't even deliver on the unicorns and glitter fantasy well. The writing is so simplistic, and this is why I say it's insulting. The writing is so simplistic, they're using a copy and paste formula that can be used in any setting whatsoever. It seems like they're just checking off a list and getting the job done, rather than wanting to make a good story. This show has me frustrated on a level I was not expecting when I jumped into making this video. And so many of you were telling me, oh, Mia and Me is so iconic. How? How? Explain it to me. Are you all just watching this through rose-colored glasses? There are other shows that are better than this. I don't care if this show looks pretty. That's not enough for me to like a show. People who are watching this show still are holding on to a nostalgia that is slipping away from their grasp and they're desperately trying to hold on to it. Or maybe you just like this sort of thing. I don't know. More power to you. I don't understand it. I'm looking for the cute, tingly little feeling in my heart. And I'm not getting that when I watch this show. And now, this show is just making me fall asleep. Literally. When I say I can't do this anymore, I mean I literally cannot stay awake to keep making these videos. It's bad. I've suffered through bad shows before. This is painful. Maybe I'm being too hard. I get it's for kids. I get that. It's for very, very young kids. But when the writers throw away their own characters, toss aside their own canon, then I'm gonna toss aside their show. I'm sorry to all the fans of Mia and Me. Don't stop enjoying this show. I'm not here to convince you shouldn't like it. That's not my intention whatsoever. But these are my takeaways from this show, and I feel like I've done my due diligence to have this opinion. And I'm gonna hold on to this opinion with fervor because I earned this opinion. I am putting my feet in concrete with this opinion because of how upset I am with the show. Tell me in the comments why you like Mia and Me. Try and change my mind, please. I want to like this show. It's so hard for me to. I feel like I had an open mind with this show. I did like season 1 and 2. They were doing a good job. High praise for seasons 1 and 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can buy my feet pics on Patreon. Stay beautiful. Keep playing.